It's Daybreak on Arise News, and it's time for the press preview. A fresh look at what's on the front pages as they arrive. As usual, we'll start off with this day. And the papers say Nnpc secures $5 billion funding from Afreximbank for Upstream business and others. Buhari unveils Boa Cement plant in Sokoto State, calls for more private sector investment. Presidential hopeful Tinubu jets out to rest after consulting. And marginal fields and UPRC moves to resolve outstanding issues, meets with awardees.
Well, here's the front page of the Punch. House Security Report forced Buhari to cancel planned subsidy removal. Federal government feared subsidy protests could be worse than #EndSARS, according to a source. Reps to summon major oil marketers, transporters, customs, others. World Bank, IMF may decline Nigeria's loan request over fuel subsidy. Details of this and many more making the front page of the Punch this morning. You can pick a copy.
And this is the Nation newspaper now. Buhari to military, don't spare bandits and terrorists. Sanwo-Olu says Tinubu has qualities to succeed President Buhari. And there's more at the top. Fashola, we've achieved more than the US in infrastructure. That report is on page 28. And Dangote Cement mops up 35.1 billion naira worth of shares. That controversy affected remittances. That's according to the Federal Inland Revenue Service.
The Nigerian Tribune is leading with the steps in Nigeria begin a probe of actual daily consumption of the premium motor spirit, otherwise known as petrol. This is to ascertain maintenance, rehabilitation cost of refineries. Above the nameplate, our economic policies are working, says President Buhari, as he commissions the Boa Cement line in Sokoto. And clack to the president, we, not you, brought peace to Niger Delta. Police chopper crashes in Bauchi. Helicopter in controlled safe landing did not crash, says police. Back and forth between the police and the AIB there.
In the Guardian newspaper, discos face imminent collapse, wallow in debt. That's power challenges in the country. 3 died, 25 houses razed in Delta State. In Delta gas tanker explosion, council bust uncovers illegal mortuary where corpses of kidnapped victims are deposited in River State.
A look at the foreign papers. The Guardian is reporting that the Prime Minister may be preparing to scrap the national insurance tax rise and is setting an alarm for the Treasury.
The Daily Express, Boris allies, don't repeat Thatcher betrayal.
The Eye says the Prime Minister's plan for dealing with the cost of living crisis has been delayed due to Downing Street turmoil.
In the Independent, Truss spends £500,000 on private jet to Australia.
The EU and UK are preparing to hit new Russian gas project with sanctions if country invades Ukraine. That's on the front page of the Financial Times.
And the Times says US sounds alarm over Russian cash in London.
Well, let's bring in Emmanuel Bello for the press review this morning. Emmanuel, good to see you. Thank God it's Friday. And we'll begin with our sister publication, as always, as usual. Many interesting stories here. Nnpc secures $5 billion funding from Afreximbank for Upstream business and others. And but let's look at the story here. Says President hopeful Tinubu jets out to rest after consulting. Emmanuel, this is Bola Tinubu, the chieftain of the APC. His declaration for presidency has been very controversial, and now he's gone to rest after consulting.
Good morning. Yeah, it's the end of the working week. Thank God it's Friday. Well, I guess you can't deny mine is rest. I guess maybe that will explain the jetting out to go and rest. But like you say, this day leading with very, very interesting economic story, things, stories that really affect us as a people. The kind of story you want to see on a Monday morning, but it's ending the working week with very beautiful stories, and you just can't escape them. And this day probably run some of this story as exclusive, whether it is the Boa Cement revolution happening in Sokoto, the cement revolutions there, or what just happened with the Nnpc, that huge investment that it got from a bank. Those are all giving the impressions that, look, there's a better forecast for the economy as we head into the year. Some of the stories are really indicating that better days are ahead. But of course, still on the front page of this day, you saw a story there that is categorizing Nigeria as one of the countries that is still, in the dangers of hunger. So it's a deep contrast. Like we keep saying, sometimes you see a contradiction between what is happening on papers and the big figures we're hearing and the reality on ground. It's a slap of reality to say we're in the same category as countries like Ethiopia, Sudan, that were really hit by famine one time, and the story clearly telling what happened there. So some really good story here apart from Bola Tinubu jetting out to go and have his rest. I'm sure running for presidency is tedious, so he probably need those rests. But then these stories, I think they're worth reading, and if you pick the This Day newspaper, exclusive story on what is happening in the Nnpc, that is a very, very important story, and very pivotal to all that we're talking about. It shows that Nnpc is going to run like a private organization with profit motive. It's going to take away all the bottlenecks of the past. We're going to have better yields from better profits from that sector. It's all in what this government has tried to do with the oil sector in that petroleum industry act that's now has been signed. So it's all those efforts that is encapsulated in this story of how much Nnpc's got and its willingness to really, really revamp the sector and make that sector work for the rest of the country and also work for the host communities where this oil is coming from. I think it's a very interesting story, and it's a great package this morning for the This Day newspaper.
Yeah, still in This Day, Emmanuel, but turning to another headline. The Minister of Works and Housing, Fashola, is saying that President Buhari has done better than the US in terms of infrastructure. Is this an overstatement or just facts?
Yeah, I'm sure there are people that will look at that headline and be very curious. It's in these days in another newspaper with Fashola saying that this government has done more in infrastructure. I think a lot of people want to pick the paper to see how much of that is true, and then of course to fact check such a very, very ambitious statement to say this president has done more than the US in infrastructure. I guess I think that is a bit curious and maybe almost overstating it. But then the story itself is going to go into the heart of the matter with many people weighing on it, I believe, as we head into the weekend and to juxtapose what the US has done the same period as the president and wonder whether there's any basis for comparison.
Punch is quoting a source in revealing why the president had to cancel the planned subsidy removal. This was due to security reasons, according to the Punch newspaper. Emmanuel.
Well, I think between the two of us, and maybe I'm sure Kenneth too, I don't think at this point we're really, most people are really worried about why he is cancelled. Most people just are happy that, look, this is not just going to happen. And so whether it's security reports, of course, there were planned protests. The government itself is saying that, no, we had a human face. We're looking at development in the international and, of course, national developments. We're just coming out of a COVID crisis. There was no need for all of this. But, of course, the experts are saying that it's just delaying postponing the evil day and all that. So yes, whether it is fears that there were those protests were going to be as huge as the NSAS, nobody has forgotten the NSAS. I think the NSAS is actually like a bugbear to this government, knowing what the destruction and the enormity of those protests. Of course, the government is always when NSAS observed the first year of it, government was very, very conscious of what those protests did. Remember the president saying in one of his interviews, said, you You remember those young boys that were coming to remove me from this place, who were marching to this place. So yes, the president remembers the NSAS. Most of us, everybody remembers that. But the government will always tell you that, well, we did this because of the people. We did this because of the human face of our administration. We don't want to impose more suffering on people. But whatever is the reason, I think most people are just heaving a sigh of relief there that, well, this has not happened in June. But the experts who are against subsidy keep talking about it, that, well, it's just postponing the evil day and that no one needs it. Governors are very angry. Some other people, the Ipman is not happy with this. That, look, this government should have just had the courage, the goodwill, the political will to go ahead and remove the subsidy once and for all, and let's face the consequences. But government say, look, especially President Buhari saying, not on my watch, not in my time, I'm moving it 18 months further because I don't want to impose more suffering on people. That it's wrong timing. So the presidency is not saying, he's saying that it's wrong timing to impose such things. Even Zainab herself, the finance minister, saying that, look, happenings around the world shows that this is not this is not the best of time to actually impose more prices of petroleum on people.
Emmanuel, in the Nation newspaper, Adeyeye Bamidele, 5 others boycott Ekiti APC primary, and Fireme's man's been declared winner. Is this a preview of what's to come in February?
Yeah, well, you can see the crisis of internal politics and the crisis of primaries and all of that. It could be a pointer to the sort of fears that politicians have been having concerning what an overbearing godfather who is trying to impose a candidate could do in those primaries, especially whether they are direct or indirect in nature, or even if it is by consensus. So those are some of the crises, and we can see them, playing out in these smaller elections at the state level. So yes, all eyes are on February to see how the APC is able to navigate its own internal contradictions, and especially among all those big contenders, close to 10 of them, some of them former governors with their war chest and all their all that they're bringing into the race. So yes, could be a pointer to what we expect to see, but all eyes are on the APC national conventions, and to see how they're able to do well. Are we going to see boycotts? Are we going to see protests? Are we going to see a situation where someone was imposed? The president said that he will not impose anyone. Well, that's for the general elections. But yeah, you are right. It's actually some sort of shadow of things to come.
And we'll be watching the space. Thank you so much, Emmanuel Bello. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, or enjoy your weekend. We'll be here tomorrow.